Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. As you can see on the screen, today again we are going to discuss a sum based on shares chapter. So without further delay, let us discuss the question so that we can discuss further about the topic from which it came and why we are discussing such a question now. So as you can see, Jain Limited invited applications for issuing 1,12,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each at par. The amount per share was payable as follows: application 1, allotment 2, first call 13, and on second and final call 4. It is given like this, and as you can see, this first call it is not 13, it is 3. Okay, let me just type it once again. First call it is just 3. Okay, now as you can see on the screen, first call it is 3 and application 1, allotment 2, and first call rupees 3 and final call rupees 4. When you are adding it, 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, it's giving us 10 rupees, which is already the face value. Clearly it is given in the question. The shares are issued at par, so face value will be equal to the issue price, right? Okay, face value will be equal to the issue price. So face value is 10, issue price is also 10. There is no problem with that. Face value is equal to the issue price. Now they are saying about applications. Applications came for 1 lakh shares were received. Shares were fully allotted to the applicants. As you can see, it's a case of under subscription. It's a case of under subscription. So there is a concept called minimum subscription and all. We are not talking about all those things in this question. Just normally, as a normal question, we will be attending this question. Applications for 1 lakh shares were received. Shares were fully allotted to the applicants. Ramesh failed to pay his allotment money, which was rupees 2 lakhs, that is not T 2000. This is which was rupees 2000. Okay, and his shares were forfeited immediately. So there was a shareholder called Ramesh who was supposed to pay 2000 at the time of allotment. His shares were forfeited immediately. Because of this statement only we are doing this sum. His shares were forfeited immediately. When the shares are forfeited immediately, it means that when the installment is when the due time or when the time come for paying the installment, they will obviously pass the entry for allotment due, or whether it is first call or allotment, whatever installment it is, we will pass the due entry. Due journal entry will be there, and we will expect the money to be paid on some particular date, and we will be passing the received entry also. And we already passed the received entry, and after that particular installment, here allotment money, right? So obviously after allotment his shares were forfeited, and again they didn't stop there. Suresh did not pay the first call on first shares for 500 shares applied by him. So Suresh, they are talking about one more shareholder, he did not pay the first call. So indirectly they are trying to say they have already asked for first call. So because of this only, one set of shares are forfeited immediately after the allotment, and again they are continuing with the calls, and in that particular call also, first call or second call, whatever it is, in that particular call also they are facing the default on payment from some other shareholder. His shares were forfeited after the first call. Then again they are saying the forfeited shares of Ramesh and Suresh were reissued at rupees 9 per share, fully paid up. Afterwards, the second and final call was made and duly received. So the topic is like this. First, after allotment, because of the non-payment of certain amount, we are cancelling the shares of Ramesh. Then again we are proceeding with the next installment. So that is first call. First call, Suresh didn't pay, and Suresh shares were forfeited after the first call. So again after that installment we are cancelling Suresh shares. Again they are reissuing the shares of Ramesh and Suresh at rupees 9 per share. After reissuing, they continued with the second and final call, and they got the amount for second and final call. This is the question. This is the reason why we are doing this sum. So let us see how it is done. So as you know, this is not a case of over subscription. So entries are pretty easy to make. No need to draw any kind of allotment table and all to find out how many shares are allotted to them or whether they have paid any extra amount and all, because there is no such case arising in this question. This is just purely the case of under subscription. So there is no extra amounts that are paid by any of the shareholders, whether it is Ramesh or Suresh. There is no extra amount that the company received from them in any form. Okay, so we'll pass the journal entries. Our job is just to pass the journal entry, pass necessary journal entries to record the above transactions. So I'm just going with the first entry, bank account debit to. Here they have mentioned equity shares. So I'm just writing bank account debit to equity shares application account. Bank account debit to equity shares application account. How much we are receiving? Applications for 1 lakh shares were received. So 1 lakh into application money is rupee 1. So 1 lakh into 1, we are receiving 1 lakh rupees. We are receiving 1 lakh rupees. Narration I am not writing, as if you are a regular follower of our videos, most of the time narration won't be written, because narration is something that you are already familiar with. Okay, I used to tell the narration for certain important questions. Other than that, all these narrations you are pretty familiar with. You will be writing like equity share application money received on this many shares or this many debentures, if it is the case of debenture. So only that is there. Now next entry will be passing like this: equity shares application account debit to equity share capital account. How much will transfer? The entire 1 lakh we will transfer to equity share capital. Remember, face value as it is, the entire 1 lakh is actually face value. That is why we are transferring like this to equity share capital account. Third entry will be, this is the time for making the allotment. So equity share allotment account debtor or debit to equity share capital account. What are we going to do? We are going to ask for the allotment money due. So here we have 1 lakh shares to give. So 1 lakh shares allotment money is 2. So obviously allotment money due will be 1 lakh into 2, which is 2 lakhs. We need to receive 2 lakh. In that, one person is not paying the amount. As you can see, Ramesh is not paying the amount. Ramesh failed to pay his allotment money, which was rupees 2000. This is just typing mistake. So here rupees 2000 he is not paying. We don't know how many shares amount is this 2000. We can find it out, but not necessary. So we can just say Ramesh's unpaid amount is 2000. So how will you record it? When we are recording it, you will be recording it like this: bank account debit. If you want to open calls in arrears, you can open, not compulsory. Calls in arrears account debit to equity share allotment account. To equity share allotment account. In bank account, how much we can write? We asked for 2 lakhs. In that, Ramesh is not paying the 2000 rupees. So obviously 1,98,000 will come to bank. 2000 will be recorded as call scenarios. Equity share allotment account, we will be recording 2 lakhs again. Okay, this is the question. This is the entry for that. After this, after allotment, we are immediately forfeiting the shares of Ramesh. So in that case, we need to find out how many shares are we forfeiting. Here in the other case, in the case of Suresh, they have mentioned the number of shares here, right? Number of shares is mentioned here, but in the case of Ramesh, they directly are saying that rupees 2000 is not received from Ramesh. The 2000 belongs to how many shares is not given. That means how many shares does Ramesh have is not given here. So we'll be finding the value like this. 2000 is mentioned here. We know 1 shares allotment money. 1 shares allotment money is rupees 2. 2000 divided by 2, the answer is 1000. So 1000 is the number of shares that is held by whom? Ramesh. So that 1000 shares we are going to cancel immediately according to the question. Ramesh share was forfeited immediately. His shares were forfeited immediately. So we are actually cancelling the shares. Cancelling the shares entry is equity share capital account debit to share forfeited account to, what should be right? What do you think? Obviously calls in arrears account. Equity share capital account, what are we supposed to write here is the total face value that you have asked from Ramesh so far. So face value is application it was 1, allotment it was 2. So far we have asked, or Ramesh was supposed to pay only 3 rupees. So 3 rupee into how many shares we are cancelling? We found that the number of shares that belongs to Ramesh is 1000. So 3 into 1000, we will be writing 3000 here. Share forfeited account, out of this 3000, how much he has paid so far? So how much he has paid so far? He has paid only application. Application is how much? 1 rupee only. So 1000 into 1 he has paid. So we'll be writing 1000 here. Calls in arrears, here already we have written calls in arrears. The pending amount from Ramesh is 2000. That will be writing here. Okay, so totally 3000 will come each on the debit as well as the credit side. So this is the entry for cancelling the share. Is the question over? No. They are saying afterwards Suresh did not pay the first call on 500 shares applied by him. His shares were forfeited after the first call. That means indirectly they are saying they are going ahead with the next installment. So when they go to next installment, what is the next installment entry? First we have to write pass entry for first call amount due. So we'll be writing equity share first call account debit to equity share capital account. Equity share capital account. Amount will be, how to write the amount? We need to find out for each share how much is first call amount. First call is 3. So 3 into how many shares we have? If you are saying that it is 1 lakh, it is not 1 lakh, because once the shares are forfeited that belongs to someone, we should not consider that shares again in the next installment. That means totally we had 1 lakh shares. Okay, we were the applications came for 1 lakh shares, so we were going on with that 1 lakh only, 1 lakh count only when we were making the calls and all. It means allotment money due. Whenever we did that, we were considering this 1 lakh shares here. But here we are not considering 1 lakh because already we have forfeited the shares which belong to Ramesh, which was 1000. So now we are considering only 99,000 shares. When you are making the first call, we should consider only 99,000 shares. Because of this reason only I have chosen this question for today's discussion. So 3 into 99,000, that only will be writing. So basically it is 2,97,000, which we are recording as first call due. Now we are going to receive the money, so we are recording it as bank account debit to equity share first call account. Bank account debit to equity share first call account. This is how much you have to write. In this 2,97,000, Suresh is not paying. Suresh did not pay the first call on 500 shares applied by him. They are just trying to confuse you by saying that 500 is the number of shares applied by him. Allotted shares may be different. You just see the question. We have offered totally 1,12,000 shares to the public. We got application for 1 lakh shares. So it is under subscription only. That means if Suresh has applied for 500 shares, he must have got 500 shares itself. There is no over subscription cases here. So the number of shares applied and number of shares allotted to Suresh is same only. So if they are saying first call money on 500 shares applied by him is not paid, that means 500 shares first call money is 3 rupee each. So 500 into 3, 1500 is not paid by the paid by Suresh. So obviously in this case also we can open an account called calls in arrears account to record the amount that is not paid by Suresh. So actually we are supposed to receive 2,97,000, but Suresh 500 into 3 rupees we are not receiving. So 2 lakh 95,500 only we are receiving in bank. 2,95,500 only we are receiving in bank. 1,500 he is not paying. So totally 2,97,000 we can write here. Okay. Hope you are getting the concept. Here calls in arrears 500 shares into 3. Okay. That is the reason why we are writing like this. Now again. So first call is done. What did they do again? The forfeited shares of Ramesh and Suresh were reissued at rupees 9 per share, fully paid up. That means we are going to reissue the shares of Ramesh and Suresh together. All the shares, whatever shares has been forfeited, the entire shares we are reissuing at the rate of rupees 9 per share, fully paid up. It means that the issue price of the shares which we are reissuing is 9 and the face value of the shares which we are reissuing is 10. So 10 issued at 9, that means it is reissued at a discount. So the entry that we are going to pass for reissue of shares at a discount is what? You know very well. Bank account, debit, share, forfeited account, debit to equity share, capital account. Now what are we going to write in bank account? Bank account is meant to record the shares amount related to the shares which are reissued. Here how many shares we are reissuing? Suresh 500 shares we have cancelled or forfeited, and Ramesh 1000 shares we have forfeited. So obviously all the shares are reissued, means totally we are reissuing 1500. And how much we are collecting? The shares are reissued at rupees 9, that is 9 is the issue price, and face value is 10. Face value is 10. So we are going to collect 9 rupees per share. So 1500 into 9, how much will come? 13,500 will come. Share forfeited account, for each share that we are reissuing, 1 rupee is the discount. How 1 rupee is the discount? Issue face value is 10, issue price is 9. So each share we are issuing it at a discount of rupee 1. So 1500 into 1 will be taken from share forfeited account to cover the discount, and here we will be writing 1500 shares into the face value. Face value is 10. So 15,000 will be coming here. So meaning of this entry is we have reissued this many, that means 1500 shares at an issue price of rupees 9 and at a discount of rupees 1. So we have done it. So narration is like that. Then afterwards what are we doing? When we are reissuing some shares, we have to make sure that one more entry is passed at that time. That entry is the entry for transferring forfeited shares account debit to capital reserve. So the entry is like this: share forfeited account shares forfeited account debit to capital reserve account. Shares forfeited account debit to capital reserve account. What are we going to do here is we will just go and see okay. Before that, one entry is there. His shares were forfeited after the first call. We directly went to the reissue entry before this. So in between one more entry will come. I will say again. Okay. here we have passed the entry for this one cancellation. Instead of that, you have to pass one more entry in between, which I will discuss now. That is basically the entry for cancellation of Suresh share. That entry we didn't pass. Instead of that, we went to the reissue entry. Entries are correct, but in between one more entry is coming. Okay, so that entry will pass in that order. Then we will come to this entry. Okay, so the entry for that is actually when you discuss equity share first call account debit to equity share capital. After that, what will come? Bank account debit, calls in arrears account debit to equity share first call account. Already we did 2,95,500, 1,500 to equity share first call 2,97,000. Why I am not stopping the session here and just doing a fresh video is like this. Sometimes when we do the sums and all, in between this kind of things will happen. It is just quite natural. It is I'm just not ending the session here and I'm just doing the entries along with you. Okay. So just think like we are all working together as a team. So when we are discussing something over the video and all, sometimes this kind of errors may happen. Immediately we'll correct it. So it doesn't mean that we have to make a fresh video on all these things. We can make it, but it's of like what to say. You all are like we are all doing the sums together. So just to show that I am also doing the sum along with you. I am not stopping here and just going to the fresh video or making the fresh video. We can make it like that and give you an impression that okay, we are doing everything so perfectly. It is not like that. We are just doing sums so together as a team. So along with me, you also work. You also identify where that entry went missing. So that is also the purpose of why I did the sum in stop the sum or erase the entries in between. I am just continuing with the correct entries. Okay. So here as you can see, so we have passed that entry. After this we have to cancel whose share? Forfeit Suresh share. So what is the entry? Equity share capital account debit to shares forfeited account to calls in arrears account. Equity share capital account. For when it comes to Suresh shares, we have to mention the face value of the shares that was asked to Suresh so far. So total face value that we have asked from Suresh is 1 rupee, 2 rupee and plus 3 rupee. In the case of Ramesh, it was only 1 plus 2. Here 1 plus 2 plus 3 will come. 1 plus 2 plus 3 will come. So obviously 6 rupees we have already asked. That means 6 into we are cancelling or forfeiting Ramesh 500 shares. So 6 into 500 which will give us 3000. Share forfeited account, the amount that he has paid so far. He is not paying the first call alone. That means he has paid the remaining 3 rupees. Which is remaining 3 rupees? Application he has paid. Also allotment 2 rupees he has paid. So totally he is paying 3 rupees. So 3 into 500 should come here. 1500. Calls in arrears, the same calls in arrears amount which we mentioned 1500 here, you can take it down 1500. Okay, that is how this entry will come. After this only we have to pass the reissue entry, which we already passed before. Okay, entry is correct, amounts were also correct, just I wanted to include this entry in between, that is why I erased it. Okay, instead of again starting from the beginning. Okay, it's of no use because we all are doing sums together, so it's all part of it. So no need to bother about all these kind of things. If some errors happen, we will erase it and we will do it again. Okay, so bank account debit, again we are doing the same entry. If you remember, shares forfeited account debit to equity share capital. When we discussed this entry before, we have already discussed that bank we will get 9 rupee only. We are reissuing both Ramesh and Suresh share. Ramesh shares were 1000, to Suresh share were 1500. So added together 9 into 1500, we will be getting 13,500. Share forfeited account will be taking 1 rupee each for each share. So 1500. Why we are debiting share forfeit account? If you don't know, the purpose of debiting share forfeit account is to show which one, the amount that we are taking from share forfeit account to cover the discount. Share forfeit account is an amount where we keep the money that we have already received from these shareholders before cancelling their shares. So from that money, some money can be uh, used for covering the discount when we are issuing the shares again at a discount. When the shares are reissued, if such shares are reissued at a discount, this share forfeit account money can be used for it. That is why I went back and mentioned this entry mainly, because I need to show you this share forfeit account, how much we have already received from each person. Here also one share forfeit is there, here also one share forfeit is there. That means totally meaning is like this: from Ramesh we have collected 1000 rupees and Suresh we have collected 1500 rupees. Totally we have 2500 with us right now from both Ramesh and Suresh, and when we reissued, we have reissued the entire shares which belongs to Ramesh and Suresh. So totally out of this 2500 we have used 1500. That is the meaning of this. And in equity share capital we are writing the face value. Face value is 10. The number of reissued shares is 1500, so it will make it as 15,000. Now what is the next step is, in whatever money is remaining in share forfeited account with respect to this 1500 shares which we didn't use yet, that amount should be transferred to another account. That account's name is capital reserve. That account's name is capital reserve. So as you can see here, for shares, next entry should be shares forfeited account debtor to capital reserve. Capital reserve account. The shares forfeited account debit to capital reserve account. How much we have to transfer? Totally we had 2500. How 2500? Suresh we have collected 1500. Ramesh we have collected 1000. So totally it makes it as 2500. Out of that, for reissuing, this 2500 is related to how many shares? Obviously 1500 shares amount. Now 1500 shares are being reissued. In that reissue time, or at the time of reissue, we have used how much? 1500 rupees for covering the discount. So that will give us 1000 rupees still remaining in which account? Shares forfeited account, which is unused. That amount we have to transfer to capital reserve. That amount we have to transfer to capital reserve. This is the entry for transferring the amount from share forfeit account to capital reserve. Remember, we are transferring only the amount that is unused, which is related to which shares? The shares which are reissued. Here entire shares has the whatever shares we have cancelled, the entire shares has been reissued. That is the purpose of this entry. Now is the question done? No. Afterwards again they are saying, afterwards the second and final call was made and was duly received. So afterwards again they are going for second and final call. So when you are making the second and final call, what is the entry? Equity share. I'm just writing it in short. Equity share second and final call account debit to equity share capital. Now the problem is what? We have cancelled how many shares? 1000 shares that belongs to Ramesh and 500 shares that belongs to Suresh. That means totally now we have how much? Totally we had 1 lakh shares in the beginning. In that 1000 shares we already cancelled. 500 shares we cancelled now. That means we have only 98,500 shares money to be called right now. So 98,500 into how much will be asking? What is the second and final call money? 4 rupees. So 4 rupees we are going to ask, or we are going to write here 4 rupees. 98,500 into 4. Okay, 98,500 into 4, which will give us 3 lakh 94,000. 3 lakh 94,000, which will give us 3 lakh 94,000. 98,500 into 4. Okay. Now, what are they saying about this money? They have received this money also. From where I got it? Afterwards, the second and final call was made and was duly received. Duly received means we have received the money itself. So, here there is no calls in arrears and all. So, bank account debit to equity share, second and final call account. How much? We are writing 3,94,000 itself. Why? Because there is no other shareholder who made default on payment. Already we have excluded Ramesh and Suresh share from the list itself. So this is the meaning of this. So that is, we have to end the entries. So what did we do here? Why did we discuss this question? First of all, we discussed this question because in between the installments, the company is cancelling or forfeiting their shares, and again they are proceeding with the installment. Again they are forfeiting the shares in between, and later only they are going for the last installment. That was the reason why we took this question. I hope I made the concept clear. Again, I would like to say, in between while doing the sums and all, we can stop it and we can just show you like a perfect video, starting from the ending, starting from the starting till the end. Everything goes perfect. Answers are coming correctly. Everything. Right now, in this sum, in between, when we were proceeding with the entries were correct, but one entry was skipped. So why I didn't stop the video in between is because it is all natural. It is just to show that it is all natural. When you are doing practicing also, you may miss some entries. It is completely natural when you are doing the sums and all. Okay, so don't be disappointed or don't think like we have made some kind of huge mistake and all. Just try to write the sums or write the entries in the perfect order from next time. Just to say that, just to show that we are also working along with you, and this is actually completely natural. That is what the purpose of me doing, just erasing the entries which we already wrote and writing the missed entry in between. That was the only purpose. Okay, don't take it negatively, and please be confident in whatever entries you know, whatever calculations you are doing. That is the purpose of me explaining in this manner. Okay, so please don't lose any kind of confidence. When it is numerical paper, obviously mistakes will be there, and you have to just rectify it and proceed with your preparations. So I hope today's session was helpful for your preparations. Okay, so I wish you all the best for the board exam preparations. Thank you.